Okay, so hello, and in this video we are going to take a look at how to repair or not repair, good luck with repairing one, how to replace the CMOS battery, also called the clock battery, the RTC battery, the BIOS battery, whatever you call it, we're going to replace it in this Presario 1200 series laptop. And I believe that this also more or less applies for a 1000 series laptop. And so first, I suppose we should start with symptoms. So with the 1200 series, you'll usually get it'll do a seek test, and it might take longer to post than usual. And you'll get a couple of beeps, and it'll say something like real-time clock error, as this one does. I'll let you in on a little secret. Some of the 1000 series and possibly other models will actually throw a different error code that says system board failure. The system board has not failed, and I've actually scored a laptop on the cheap that was doing that because that makes it look like the laptop is actually dead. But no, you just replace the CMOS battery and it works fine. I'm talking specifically about a Presario 1065. I've seen that the 1090 appears to actually have I think it's more of a normal error for a depleted CMOS battery. The 1065 has severe amnesia, and that is basically it can't ever remember the BIOS settings even when it's running. So basically, you've got a fat chance of actually getting it to boot with a dead BIOS battery. So if you don't know, the BIOS batteries that these use are CR1220, and I have 25 of them because it was cheaper to buy 25 of them on eBay than a pack of 2 at the store. So that's why I have 25. But they are nice packs where you can just kind of tear one off like that, and I've probably got a lifetime supply. And wow, what's the point of having a perforation if it doesn't go through this plastic? Well, that wasn't pretty. But anyway, there's our CR1220, and you might want to open the system up and just make sure that that's what your battery type is. I know that that's what these are. So anyway, we don't need this on. So obviously the next thing you have to do is open up the laptop. So close the lid, and on basically all of these, I just call them 2-inch thick form factor laptops. I think they're 2 inches thick. If they're 1.5 inches, forgive me, but whatever their thickness is, that's what I called them. And this is missing a memory door, but I've got dead laptops with memory doors that can probably provide one. Battery, it does kind of work. I mean, not in any sort of functional way, but it does have enough charge to display the blinking light. And so if you're unaware, what you need to open these is either a flathead or preferably a Torx T9 bit. This has a security bit in it, but or rather this is a security bit, but it doesn't need to be. And you need to take out, let's see, yes, you need to take out these 3 screws, or at least loosen them. Can't tell what's going on with that one. There we go. I think. I don't know. We'll find out. And then you need to do this screw over here, which actually is not present in this for whatever reason. So then you flip the laptop back over and try to keep track of the screws if they fall out, because they don't exactly love to be fished out. carefully open the laptop again because the hinges on these can be rather weak, and hope that this comes off. Okay, so apparently I've got one more screw to take out. These are good little laptops, but they're not exactly the easiest thing in the world to service, but it does get a lot worse than this. When you take this touchpad assembly off, be very careful, as you can see here, it can crack. I don't think I actually put that crack in there. And you also want to be extremely careful not to tear the ribbon cable, especially if your ribbon cable looks like that, because it took me literally years of pulling broken stuff apart to find a ribbon, well, I think actually a combination of ribbon cables that I could actually use for this when I tore mine in my 1260. So once you're in here, it starts getting a lot more straightforward. Okay, so you don't really need to detach the keyboard in most instances. And then you get to this heatsink thing. Most all of the 1200 series has a heatsink like this. 1000 series I don't think would. And as long as you're running on the stock thermal pad, I wouldn't worry about it getting dried out too much. Just don't touch it and don't scratch it. Some of these have 2 screws and some have 4, and you can see that this one has already got a little bit of weirdness going on. I might try to fix that, but it's been working fine like that apparently. Okay, so the CMOS battery, at least on the 1200 series, including the 1200 XL, even though that the modem is actually under the computer in a mini PCI slot on the 1200 XL series, under here, in this case under the modem, and I believe this is also true in the 1000 series, that if you take the modem out, which is kind of like it's kind of weird. I don't know how exactly to describe the socket. It's definitely what was used before mini PCI, I guess, was standardized. There's usually a screw holding this in, or maybe even multiple if you're lucky. There is this connector here. I wouldn't mess with it because it's apparently very fragile. If you can help it, I wouldn't mess with it. Oh, what the heck is going on? Do I really need to wrench that out? I think I do. I'll be back in a moment. I did need to remove that thing. So the modem should pop out of its socket as long as you have all the screws removed. Without disassembling it, it might be kind of tricky to get it out, and I think I am going to have to remove that connector there. I guess that's a little too ridiculously zoomed in to see stuff around my hands, although you might not see stuff around my hands anyway. Well, I don't know. Oh, sure, now you just come out like nothing. That's not bad. Here's your where your display connector connects. There's usually 2 different connector things in line if it's a Presario 1200 XL. I think the normal 12 series, at least the early ones, only have this connector because they only use a 800 by 600 screen. Well, that's the reason that I came up with. So yes, here's your CR1220 holster, complete with depleted CR1220 battery. It died like just when I got it. It was like to the point where time was just stopped. Like it could remember the time, but didn't have enough oomph to actually, for the BIOS clock to actually run when the system is off. Okay, so then you just pop your modem back in. So then basically it's just the simple, or hopefully simple, art of putting it back together. Make sure you get the heatsink on there good. Basically just do whatever you did to take it apart, but in reverse, and you'll have a completed system. Should you succeed in actually getting the touchpad cable back together properly, like I just have, then you can pop this back together, and wonder if it will break this time. There we go. This one's got a really nice rubberized plastic on it. My Presario 1260 has absolutely no rubberized coating, and then the ones that I've bought for parts on eBay have had varying degrees of rubberized coating. Alright, so there you have it. Your Presario 12 or 10 series hopefully now has a functioning CMOS battery. Whoops, that didn't sound healthy. If at the cost of some tiny plastic parts. Hopefully the screen will be somewhat legible. As said previously, this is a passive matrix display, and they do not do that exceedingly well, but actually that's like more visible on the camera than on my eyes, I suppose. Of course, when you replace the battery, it's going to do a different error than previous. You can actually see that this is a little different. It's not actually complaining about the real-time clock, just that the settings are wrong. And set your date and time. Let's see, we're on the 10th. There we go, and it's 2020. Whoops. And the time is 11:30. So save and exit. Well, actually, let me look through the other settings. I kind of doubt that that's actually a local bus IDE adapter, but I suppose I could be wrong. Seems like PCI would be a lot more contemporary. I always set that pretty low. Yes. Although this isn't going to be mine because I'm going to sell it, so maybe I'll do something slightly more reasonable. Because, I don't know, most people don't seem to like that. I certainly do. And I guess I'll just leave that as it is. Okay, so after the boot and on subsequent power cycles, you should theoretically find that your system now has a changed CMOS battery. And the only thing left to do, if your system supports it, you will probably need to run phdisk again, which is the Phoenix hibernation file utility. And that is used on Windows 95 and 98. At least, I mean, theoretically, I think 98 2nd edition has hibernation support, but I've never seen a system that uses it. But for most, all of the Presario 1200 and 1000 laptops I've seen, phdisk is the method to hibernate. If you have a 1200 XL, particularly with Windows 2000 or ME, that's probably just going to do it natively. Although, if your ME system is using APM or whatever, you theoretically could probably use phdisk. 2000 is probably a fat no. Now, when it's actually doing something, the screen looks better in person than on the camera. There you go. And so long as the touchpad and stuff works, you've probably hooked up that cable correctly. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it informative and educational. I don't really understand how you would find it entertaining, but if you did, I'll be here all week. So if you have a comment or a question or whatever, please feel free to leave one. And have a good day or night or whatever.